Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Beer and Chicken Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Span. This is episode number 70 of these Beer and Chicken Shenanigans. And I am joined by a couple of the homies from the Detroit area. I'm getting some feedback.
You only got feedback when you said Detroit. Just say it with respect.
I got some of the homies from the Detroit area, man. The homies from the ShopTalk Podcast here. Want to say what's up to the people's fan?
What up?
What up, though? It's your man Jay Johnson in the building.
Do y'all
going wild? Let's do it.
Come over here and not do y'all thing, man. Come on, man.
Go ahead, Jay. You know how to do
okay. Well, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be respectful.
Here you go. Hey, baby.
Yo, what up, though? It's your man Jay Johnson, aka the tinfoil hat titan, aka the conspiracy realist, aka the technology snob, Steve Jobs Jr. Don't text me with your green bubbles, aka I only debate my equals. Everybody else I teach. Also known as Juice, because all the girls say, Jay, you ice. Young Caesar, because you know you can't run without me. Mister, if you don't like me, fight me. I got kicked out of Noah's Ark because they couldn't find another animal just like me. AKA the West Side T'Challa, the new leader of Wakanda. Don't debate me, debate your mama. I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. What up?
What up, though? And it's your man Dame Going Wild, the West Side Landlord, the Pride of PA, High Chief Dame Don't Fuck Around, the liquor store legend, the corner store conquistador, your mama's favorite Dame, and the David Ruffin of the Shop Talk Podcast, because you know who the fuck they came to see. Not you, Otis. It's no better than these 4 letters. Thank God for Dame. And if you speaking on Dame, you better say it nice. And if you don't put the boss in front, then you're not saying it right. But tonight, we Taliban talking about my Pistons. There'll be no Detroit.
Bad boys for life.
Hell yeah.
Yo. So check this out, man. We had to do this right because, we've been doing this thing with the Last Dance docuseries, man. We've been, y'all know me and Cliff. For those of you who listen to the show, y'all know me and Cliff. We from Chicago. We some Chicago Bulls fans. So I didn't want this to just, like love fest circle jerk ass shit. You know what I'm saying? While we talk about this, you gotta have some people
respect
that don't fuck with your team, so you can talk some tad shit with some folks, right? So last week we had Aaron Ram Freeman on. He's a Knicks fan. I don't know why, and he talked about
how old is he?
That's unfortunate.
I never thought to ask Aaron how old he was, but he was a Knicks fan. He's a Warriors fan. I think he says he's like a lifelong Warriors fan now. It's a lot of them.
A lifelong Warriors fan?
You can't tell me you was a Warriors fan if you weren't around for the Monte Ellis years.
Hey,
dark days in Golden State.
Aaron Ram Freeman, he's a thorough dude. But when he said lifelong, I'm like, okay.
Now, granted, coming up, Tim Hardaway was my favorite player. You feel me?
Run TMC, baby. Mitch Richmond, that squad. That boy putting up buckets.
I had his jersey.
Who else? So we had him on last week, and I was like, I got to get some people from Detroit because if they're gonna have the bad boys on here, I gotta have some people from Detroit on here to talk about this because it ain't gonna be right, man. It's just not gonna be right. And so, Cliff would be here right now, but he's dealing with some family issues and shit. As a matter of fact, it sounds like Cliff hitting me up right now on the WhatsApp. Look at this. I know. Right. Sound like that's him right now on the phone.
Don't run now, Cliff. No,
but he got some issues that he's dealing with. He should be joining us sometime in the show, man. But yo, man, before we get into all of this shit with the with the Last Dance, man, what's been going on with y'all? Last time I seen you fellas, y'all was celebrating y'all 200th anniversary of the Shop Talk Podcast, man. What's been going on with you fellas, man?
Yeah, man, we appreciate you coming through and showing your face. Man, we on lockdown, man, on quarantine.
Low key, that was the last free day. The last day we saw you, that was like the last free day out of quarantine.
Yeah.
That was 6 weeks ago. We did 6 weeks of the Corona Chronicles over on Shop Talk. So
yeah, just been in the house, man, trying to stay safe. This Corona is real. I done lost 2 homies to it. And I'm trying to keep me and my family safe. So, unless I need groceries, I got to take the dog outside. I'm in the house, man.
Okay.
For real.
See. What about you, Jay?
I gotta take my punk ass to work every day. You know what I'm saying? They won't let me work from home, even though they didn't gave me a laptop and everything. They hating on me.
You essentially
I'm essentially getting shafted because I'm not getting no hazard pay. You feel me? So I'm out here risking my life, but it's a double-edged sword because that means I'm not missing no checks, and a lot of other people are. So it's not it's a blessing.
I thank God I got some income coming in. I can't wait till we can get the studio back opened up because it feels strange being away from home court.
Yeah, indeed, man, indeed. Like I was telling Jay before we got on, when I was supposed to be going back to work like this week and shit. I've been off for a month. I ain't been knowing what to do with myself, man. My sleep pattern is all off. I'm staying up to like 3 o'clock in the morning watching Vietnam documentaries and shit, man. It's crazy, baby. It's crazy, but it'll be good to kind of get back into the routine of things a little bit. I'm still getting paid, but it ain't the same. It ain't the same. I used to be doing overtime and getting some bonuses and shit. These regular checks ain't been. I'll be like, oh my god, how the fuck am I living off this? But it is what it is, man. But let's get into this shit with the Last Dance, man. Have you guys watched all 4 episodes of this?
Definitely. Twice.
Oh, you watched them? Good man.
Me too.
Indeed. So far from what you've seen, do you think this has been like a fluff piece, right? Like, I know a lot of people think about, we start talking about, from back in the day, and you get the revisionist history. Do you guys get any like feelings of there being like some fluffery going on with the Chicago Bulls as they've been talking about it so far?
I'll be honest, me myself, I don't think it's a fluff piece at all. I think it gives us a very open and honest perspective because, naturally it's centered around Mike primarily. But when they have different inserts and they talk about certain scenarios, you get all their real raw opinions. So, I mean, I think it's been shot real well. It's been edited and put together, tremendously. I do have one small gripe, but I mean, we here for the gripe that I got. So we'll get into that.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, I initially thought this shit was a 10-part Michael Jordan documentary. I was shocked and appalled when I found out it was about the entire Chicago Bulls because that's not what I signed up for. Okay. But I do respect their viewpoint of how their season went because this is the stuff from their vantage point. I did think they tried to make Scottie Pippen look like a victim when he made $18 million on 7 years back in 1990. So I mean, they painted him like it was like, oh man, he's poor and broke out here.
Got the raw
like relax, fam. Like you and Jordan, outside those 2 years, y'all was only about a million, 1.75 difference from each other, and I'm the greatest player of all time. Like it wasn't even like that. Like Jordan signed a 6-year, $25 million deal. You signed a 17 million. Like at that time, Jordan got severely underpaid, except the last 2 years of his contract.
Yeah.
So they made it look a certain way. But you gotta have a storyline.
And man, and in business, I've always been told you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate.
This is facts.
So, there's no permanent friends or enemies in business. Scottie did business based on what he thought was best for him at the time. In hindsight, yeah, we can look back on 18 million and kind of turn your nose up at it. But let me tell you something. Somebody give me 18 million to do anything for 7 years. We can talk about it. We can talk about
100%
today. We can talk about it right now.
Yeah, I know we talk about it like being in hindsight and everything, but at the time, Scottie was pissed, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Tony Kukoc was making more money than him. He was actually like the sixth highest paid player on that squad. Now you couldn't tell me as far as like Scottie's production on the floor, Scottie was worth more money than that, right?
Absolutely.
But no,
you don't think so?
So the reason I said no is like your contract is what your contract is. The only reason that Scottie ended up being quote unquote worth more was because Michael Jordan brought more money to the league. Tony Kukoc ended up getting a bigger contract because I was playing my ass off and more investors started coming into the league. And so now the salary cap went up and I can pay more people, but you got paid after your contract was set. You should have renegotiated before you was in your last year of your contract after they said they didn't want you and you was injured. Like that, you don't got no bargaining piece. Like, so no, I don't necessarily think that.
Well, I think like a lot of it too, like it kind of goes into like where you come from and your situation. And I do think that plays a lot into how people go into certain, like he went into that like with a poverty mindset. Like he's coming from abject poverty. I gotta take care
based off survival.
Right. I gotta take care of everybody. My whole family is dependent upon me. And like there's this money that I got in front of me right now that I can have right now, or I could wait and maybe get this extra money that might come down the line. And I'm ready for this right now money. I can't bank on that maybe later money. And it's a whole lot to come up with in that line of thinking.
Because what he said and what the dudes, the other Jerry Reinsdorf, whatever his name is, was like, "Lo, I told him don't sign this loan contract." He had like a 3 or 4 year deal that he could have signed, but he himself was like, "I don't want to mess up my knee and then I don't have no money, so I'm gonna take a guaranteed 17, 18 million." Like, oh, that's a conscious decision, and it worked out for you.
And let's not paint Scotty like the picture of poverty. Like beyond the Bulls, he still had that. He still had them Nike checks coming in. This is late '90s. Scotty was still putting out like classic kickstands. So like he wasn't dying. He wasn't panhandling.
No, he wasn't.
Jordan should have had the real problem.
I think, and I think that's part of the reason why Mike wasn't necessarily he wasn't really moved, because he basically said he thought Scotty was being selfish to try to make them renegotiate his contract mid-season and everything else. And then it didn't help that Jerry Krause was talking about trading the guy and everything, and totally just blowing up that team long before it was time to do that. But yeah, man,
that's so selfish though. Like you specifically saying, I'm not gonna get this surgery because I don't want to mess up my summer.
Yeah.
Like I could get the surgery, but y'all ain't really like you only hurting the team because them niggas ain't giving you no money.
Now I'm gonna tell y'all this though, like because I was in Chicago at the time. Nobody in Chicago really believed Scotty was going anywhere. Like that was the mood in the city. Like nobody thought he was going anywhere. They pretty much felt like, okay, this is some bullshit because of him and Jerry Krause, but they gonna fuck around and eventually work that out. A couple months later, that's exactly what happened. But like nobody in the city at the time really felt like Scotty was going anywhere. And it did. I don't know if we really had the perspective of how deep those problems were until now. You know what I'm saying? Where he really felt like, nah, I'm not playing for these motherfuckers no more.
It was definitely a negotiating tactic. But the only thing, we see this a lot of times on NFL teams.
Yeah.
I outplay my contract. I'm not coming to OTAs. I'm not coming to, I'm not showing up to preseason. Well, that's a little bit different when your contract isn't guaranteed. In the NBA, it's a guaranteed contract. I'm sorry you don't like it. I'm sorry that you overplayed it. But until the contract run out, we don't have to do anything.
You're not gonna get some of the money back if you underperformed.
Yeah, no, they never do. As a matter of fact, here's the thing though. So even now, because of this coronavirus shit, the NBA players are gonna have to give up 25% of their salaries for this year. That's money.
Not all of them.
I don't know. I didn't get the details on all of that shit. I just heard this like on ESPN probably like an hour ago.
So the nine players that Rich Paul represents, they don't have to give up no money.
We'll see.
They don't have to give up no money.
That's fact, or that's you talking shit?
No, that's pure fact.
Okay.
Rich Paul represents 9 NBA players.
LeBron,
LeBron is definitely one of them.
Yeah,
and they don't have to give up no money.
Okay, that's got to suck for the guy on the league minimum, though.
It does. It's lonely at the top, though. It's lonely at the top.
You're like, man, I got to give.
You could be an essential worker. I bet you he all right.
You could be an essential worker. Now, on episodes 3 and 4 of this series, they kind of focused a lot of the story on Dennis Rodman and Phil Jackson. So off rip, when y'all heard that Dennis Rodman was going to be joining the Chicago Bulls, and you in Detroit at the time, Dennis Rodman going to the Bulls, what's your thought on that? What were you thinking at that time?
Well, because Dennis Rodman went to San Antonio first and spent some time there and got a little bit crazy and shit, like it wasn't that big of a deal because like his own type of thing. Now, if he would have left Detroit and went to Chicago, like right back to back, me personally, I would have been like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Right. But because he went to San Antonio and turned into a different person,
Did he turn into a different person though? Because like some of the cracks with Dennis was starting to happen towards the end of his Pistons tenure.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
he
think
wasn't
Dennis
like
really turned into a different person. He just got removed from that environment. Like when he was here as a Piston, there were a lot of strong personalities around him. Just the bad boys, period. Mahorn, Isaiah, Joe D. You can kind of quell some of that shit because they're going to be the locker room leaders.
Big
When you
brothers.
went down to San Antonio, no knock to David Robinson, but he doesn't seem like the type of leader that's going to put his foot down to the bullshit in the locker room. That's just my perception of it.
Fam, that man started painting his nails, coloring his hair. Like, dog, he's a different person on San Antonio than he was with the Pistons, dog. Like he went from young to like he maneuvered, and then when he get to
it's like
when
when
he
you
got
move out
to
your mama's
Chicago,
house.
he changed.
It's like when you move out your mama's house. You under her rules in her house. When you move out, you become your own man. You do what you want to.
Now he
No,
had
I'm not
issues
washing
in
the dishes tonight. I'm gonna leave them out.
he had some issues in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Well,
He was going through that shit with his baby mama and her not letting him see that baby. That's what had Dennis fucked up here.
There was some other,
a different person.
There was some other things too that was happening in Detroit, and I think the biggest thing that was going on with Dennis when he was in Detroit, especially towards the end, was the fact that Chuck Daly wasn't here anymore.
Absolutely.
When Chuck, I think the theme with Dennis Rodman is that Dennis, it seems as though like no matter where he moved in the NBA, Dennis was looking for either those big brothers or a father-like figure to kind of bring him in and take him under his wing. And so when he left Detroit, he was kind of rebelling because, like, man, y'all got rid of my coach. That was my guy. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the veteran players were also gone at this time. I think Isaiah Thomas had like finally retired. Joe Dumars was, I think, still playing, but he was like older Joe Dumars. He wasn't the same Joe.
Yeah, man. Joe played forever. Joe played too long.
Yeah. John Sally's gone.
Joe could have played one more year. Remember when Grant Hill was trying to get to play one more year?
Yeah.
Look at his stats.
So like
he was still balling.
Yeah, all of those guys were gone. They were all gone. So by the time he finally went to San Antonio, he's on a team where like first he don't respect the coach and he don't respect David Robinson as a leader. And they allowed Dennis to kind of do whatever the fuck he wanted to do, but to the detriment of the team almost. Because he didn't respect anybody there. He was like, man, fuck y'all. Like, y'all don't know how to win. I don't won championships before, this, that, and the other. And they just did not know how to deal with him. And
I think that's what kind of messed with. Like, so Chuck Daly kind of let him do whatever he wanted to do. Like they said in the he said he told one of the assistant coaches, like, look, don't put a saddle on a Mustang. Yeah. So Chuck Daly let him do what he want to do. He went to San Antonio, they let him do whatever he want to do. He go to Chicago, they let him do whatever he want to do. Like, why don't somebody get that man some discipline? He looking for a father figure. Tell nigga to tell him to sit down.
Nah, man, Jay, you've been in leadership before. You can't manage everybody the same way. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta let some people you gotta have more rope on. Some you just gotta kind of let them go and let them do their thing. And I think Dennis was one of them personalities. He worked better, in a team aspect, but you gotta be free and do your thing sometimes. And I think that's what worked.
Do your thing after 5 o'clock. While you at work, this not a 24-hour day job. Do your thing after you get off the clock. So while I need you for these 2 hours that you're gonna be on practice today, and the 3 hours in the game, can I get 5 hours from you, fam?
So not if you want me at my full potential.
Right. And I think to a large degree, like Chuck Daly understood Dennis and his personality, and he embraced him in a way to where like Dennis kind of felt like he was a part of a family while he was with Detroit. And then when he came to Chicago, it was important for them to get Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on board immediately for that to work. And so when he gets to Chicago and he's playing for Phil Jackson, he's playing with Michael Jordan, he's playing with Scottie Pippen, and they just kind of like immediately embraced him in the team concept. He had somebody where like he can look up to. Okay, Mike won championships. They've won 3 championships in a row. These some tough motherfuckers. They beat us. He had people that he respected on the team with him, and I think that kind of helped him mesh into that team. And then also, because we're gonna get into this a little bit later with Phil Jackson, about whether or not you think that like Phil Jackson might be one of the greatest like team coaches of all time. Because
Dennis played for two of the top 5 coaches ever in basketball.
Yeah.
Two of the top 5 ever.
But to be able to manage that, right? To know that like you can't manage or you can't coach each guy the exact same way. Every guy on that team needs to be led in a different sort of way. And so when Phil Jackson when they brought Dennis over there, he just kind of let Dennis be Dennis and not like come down on him in the way in which San Antonio may have been doing, and that's why he was rebelling so hard.
I can see that. I can see your point there.
Yeah. So, but getting back to like Phil Jackson, because I just asked the question though. You know, with Phil Jackson, is it possible that Phil Jackson could be possibly the greatest like team sports coach of all time? What do you think about that?
All time
of any sport.
I might put him up there like top 3.
Who's
top
better?
3. You can argue Greg Popovich.
How?
I mean, Pop definitely has a lot of titles with a lot of different personalities, and I'll go one other.
Does he have 11?
No, but I will.
Does he have a back-to-back?
Yeah, does
he have a three-peat?
Got back-to-backs. Spurs
do not have a back-to-back.
No, man. No, you're right. And
does he have a three-peat? Does he have two three-peats? Does he have 2 3-peats and a back-to-back?
Are you gonna let me get my point across?
Against Greg Popovich?
He's probably one of the greatest coaches in the modern era. I think Bill Belichick is probably one of the greatest coaches in the modern era. And somebody's name that I don't hear enough, and probably just because he's a college coach, Coach K.
Oh, most definitely. Coach K is probably one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Absolutely.
But I think the fact that he's coaching college and like the way in which that game is a little bit different, where the kids are, he's coaching like kids, like the kids are picking him. He's getting like the reputation gets it to where he gets the cream of the crop.
Get all the talent
all the time.
I mean, he also did coach 2 Olympic basketball teams.
That shit don't count.
Come on, bro.
That shit don't count. Oh shit! I got the greatest basketball players of all time on my team. I wonder what I'm gonna do. Like I got my like, come on, dog. Come on.
You still got to get them to buy in, share the ball. Yeah. Like it's not just you throw 5 niggas on the court and let whatever happen.
Have you seen some of these? Do you watch these USA games?
Some combination.
Do you watch these USA games?
Yes, and the USA has lost like in the last 20 years. Some of these combos just don't work.
Listen, dog. Greg Popovich is cool. He is not better than Phil Jackson. Like he has a losing record to Phil Jackson. And like I don't like how they try to act like Greg Popovich don't got a gang of Hall of Famers on his team. Like he had David Robinson, he had Tim Duncan, he had Kawhi Leonard, he had Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, like his whole entire stint, he has had some of the greatest players of all time
through drafting, not free agency, through drafting.
What does that mean, nigga? Once you get on the team, I gotta coach you.
Yeah, but you still got
the coach ain't who picked the team. The GM picks the people.
But you got to build a team that way. Like you look at like the big 3, they decided they wanted to play together. And then they all came together. When you building your team organically like that, you don't know how that's gonna mesh. You putting pieces together and hope through good coaching and management they work.
But that's not the coach's job. The coach don't pick the players.
I don't know. Like sometimes the coaches that do get like general manager controls and shit, sometimes they don't delegate those, or they're not successful all the time, right? They don't have to.
No, not at all.
And so, like, when we start talking about like how the team is built, yeah, you can build a team through the draft, but then you can also build a team through like bringing in talent, like the Miami Heat did when they got their big 3 with Chris Bosh and LeBron James coming to Miami, and then you had a bunch of guys in the league who were like, well, shit, I'll take the league minimum to go play with them motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So you got ways in which you can build a team, but when I'm thinking about greatest coach of all time, right? And all the
things in the CBA too, dog.
Right. He coached a championship
on all levels.
He's got three different 3-peats, man. He won 2 3-peats with Chicago, then he went to LA and won another 3-peat. Then he got 2 more championships after that with Kobe leading the Lakers. Like, it's crazy the amount of success that dude has been able to attain in the coaching spot. And then on top of that, you add the fact that like Jordan and Pippen at the time didn't know how to win championships until Phil Jackson got there. Kobe and Shaq did not know how to win championships together until Phil Jackson got there. And so the ability that he had to bring all of those different types of personalities, or alpha personalities together to mesh them in a way where they could go out and win, because a lot of those guys who were playing together, they wasn't winning shit until he got there. So for him to be able to take that formula and mold those dudes together in that way and do it 11 times, yeah, I think Phil's probably the greatest coach we've ever seen.
Facts. And he did on different levels. And like you kind of saw in this last episode where, like, Jordan, we taking the ball out your hands. Yeah. I know we give credit to Jordan, like, yo, he had to learn how to win. He decided to be a team player. He wasn't happy that the ball wasn't going to be in his hands. But and there's also a reason why these greats say, I'm not playing unless he coaching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when Kobe wanted Phil Jackson to coach, I want to get traded to Chicago. Like
if Kobe had come to Chicago, I think about it all the time.
So when you want to look at some of the greatest basketball players,
it would have been a waste of talent. It would have been a waste of talent in years.
Look, some of the greatest basketball players of all time, whether it's Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, or Michael Jordan, and all these folks, they don't win their championships without Phil. Yeah. Like they all had to go to Phil to win their chips. People like to say it the other way around, like, oh, Phil had to have these three. No, fam.
And also, like, because I know this also kind of comes up when you start talking great coach stuff. You know, people always say, well, he had such and such. He had Shaq. He had Kobe. Of course he was supposed to win. And that's why I made the point that, like, before he got there, they was already together. They weren't winning shit. You know?
And Shaq has always been Shaq as soon as he got into the league.
Yeah.
Kobe, it only took Kobe, 2-3 seasons to separate himself from the rest of the bunch. Shaq, you know, there's no reason at like 7'2", 350 why Shaq shouldn't have been the most dominant player we've ever seen in NBA history. Mm-hmm. But he was fast.
He should have beat Chicago, but they lost. Or did they push Chicago out?
They pushed Chicago out in 95 when Mike was coming off of his baseball hiatus. They put him out, and then
his suspension. Let's call it what it is. His suspension for gambling.
We always said that shit, but like, why only? I don't know if that's the case.
I got an article I'm gonna send to you, Dang, because they've been talking. They been talking about that on Sports Illustrated, where like it's been 30 years, man. Like people ain't came up with no corroborated evidence that was a suspension at all. But
because why would I suspend you?
Like that man was making
gambling. That was coming off that gambling scandal.
So long as he wasn't gambling on NBA games, he good, baby.
Yeah, like it don't make sense. Like it did back in the day because it was like but like it really don't make sense. Like
yeah, Orlando put them out in 95 because that was like that. That was when Mike had first came back, and then he had that first full season when he got back, and it was a wrap. They swept him the very next year. So yeah, you got that going on, but we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes of this shit. This is the reason why we brought y'all on, man. They get to the part of this series where they start talking about the bad boys, man, the Detroit Pistons, great teams from like 88, like shit, go along like 87. They probably should have went to the finals in 87, right? 87,
absolutely.
87 to about 91 was the year where the Bulls beat them. So they had like a 5-6 year stretch where the Pistons was probably the best team, the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
And they were integral in like the growth of the Chicago Bulls, right? Like Chicago had to go through the bad boys in order to become the champions that they became. But I'm gonna ask y'all,
every hero needs a rival. Every hero needs a rival.
I hear you, but I'm gonna ask y'all this as Detroiters, man. Do y'all think that the Detroit Pistons is getting way too much motherfucking attention on the story about the Chicago Bulls?
I think the Pistons did not get enough attention about the story with the Chicago Bulls. I think how they painted the picture of the Pistons just walking off and not, shaking their hands is bold and some bullshit. Go back and tell the whole story.
The whole fucking story.
Chicago look like victims. The whole story.
Give us a story, man. Give us y'all perspective.
The story about how after game three, how Jordan went and said that the Pistons didn't deserve their championships. They didn't earn their championships. Said it was bad for basketball and made some discouraging comments about the city of Detroit as a whole. So
about the city though, I thought he was talking about the Pistons because you remember the Pistons didn't even play in Detroit at the time.
I mean, we was around for that. We know they played in Auburn Hills. It's no
we
secret.
played in Detroit in Cobo Hall downtown until they got bigger, and then while their stadium was being built, they played somewhere else. While they, but hey,
yeah, because it just seemed to me like as much as they wanted to claim Detroit, they wasn't really claiming Detroit. You know what I'm saying? But
schematics.
Shit, John Sally lived in Detroit. Okay, I've been in his house.
In the hood. John Sally lived in the middle
mansion in the hood.
Hey, yeah. I remember one year John Sally tried to talk to my mama. So yeah, me and that nigga gonna fight. But,
no comment.
Yeah, man. That's a very interesting story right there.
No, but I say that because although the Pistons are very they're a great team. Like as much as I talk shit about the Detroit Pistons, I ain't got no Pistons that I really respect like that and everything else. I talk cash shit, man. I'm talking cash shit.
And you don't got no Pistons respect like that.
No, I'm getting a lot of. Hold on a second.
Some with your headset, Jay. We're getting some feedback, brother.
Getting a lot of feedback. Say something real quick.
Say something real quick.
Yeah, it's you. Do me a favor, refresh your screen, man. If you refresh, you might take that out. All right.
And take off that stupid headset he wearing, man, like he playing Call of Duty.
No, that man in the call center, baby.
Right.
Can I interest you in some insurance?
Right.
No, but let's see if he back. Okay, let's see if we got him back.
Yo, right. What's up?
There you go.
Okay, sound good.
Sound real good.
Bet.
We was making call center jokes about you while you was gone.
No, but I say that because I saw there was this little thing that was going down on Facebook, and people were talking about who's the best player on each team, the one that you respect the most from each team, and I left the Knicks and the Pistons blank because they was the Knicks and the Pistons. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Bulls fan through and through, man.
I got you.
I'm a Bulls fan, man.
Span. You mean to tell me that Isaiah Thomas goes through a team goes through Dr. J, goes through Magic Johnson, goes through Larry Bird, goes through Michael Jordan, all in their prime?
I hear you. I'm not about to be I'm not about to be rational about this, man. That's the whole thing about this extreme fandom. I can't be rational about this. Fuck Isaiah Thomas, you know what I'm saying? Now, if I was gonna have a favorite Detroit,
who's from Chicago?
His name Dirt in the Town, man. Come on.
What?
Oh, man.
Did y'all see the All-Star Weekend shit?
I seen him on the Knuckleheads pod. I mean Knuckleheads with Quentin Richardson and Darius. They from the town and they love him. And the vibe I got from them is that his name is good in Chicago.
Nah, son. Nah. Isaiah Thomas. Here's what started the beef with Isaiah and the Pistons. I mean, in the Bulls, really. Isaiah was jealous of the fact that Mike was getting so much attention in the city, right? This is facts. This is shit he said himself. This is the shit that Isaiah Thomas said himself. He went home to Chicago. He visited his nephew. There was a poster of Michael Jordan in his nephew's room. He was mad that there was no poster of him in his nephew's room. His nephew told him, "Yo, man, we in Chicago, man. What are you talking about? You play for the Pistons." That's what was the impetus for his beef with
sound like a lot of opinion right there.
That's what he said.
I would like to think the beef came from Jordan freezing Isaiah out from being on the dream team.
There's that too. But if I'm gonna talk about a piece that I like, because again, this is because I'm irrational, and this is about the rivalry. I'll give y'all Grant Hill. I like Grant Hill. I just didn't like the fact that he played for the Pistons. That's all I'm gonna say. I like Grant Hill. He's probably one of the greatest Pistons to ever play.
What can you say bad about Joe Dumars on the basketball court?
See, I can't say nothing bad about Joe D. He ain't no sucker like some of the rest of them was some
played
sucker.
Good defense on Michael Jordan.
He did.
Excellent D.
Michael Jordan even said he was one of the best people who defended him.
I'm trying to tell y'all, man, I'm not about to be rational about it.
You got to respect Finals MVP.
I can deal with you.
Finals MVP Joe Dumars.
I tell y'all, man, I'm not gonna be rational about this one, man. I like Grant Hill, man. I'm giving y'all that one. I like Grant Hill.
I respect Joe Dumars, dog.
No, but
Joe Dumars should still have an executive job in the NBA.
100%.
he definitely should. Now y'all should blame the Pistons for that because he don't.
No, so I'm a go left field real quick.
Okay, go
The
ahead.
reason that my Pistons suffered for so many years is because of Rodney Stuckey, and this is the reason why. Rodney Stuckey had one good year, one
50
good playoff.
points.
They decided that they were going to trade Chauncey for Allen Iverson. AI was a cancer. As much as I love Allen, he was a cancer to my fucking Pistons. It took them years to recover. That Josh Howard,
How was AI the cancer?
Josh Smith.
yeah, the Josh Smith trade was bad. Too much money spent on him. That Andre Drummond deal. It was a lot of bad deals in between there. But that Rodney Stuckey deal started the downward trend.
No, Rodney Stuckey was the issue because since Rodney Stuckey was there, we're not gonna play. We just traded Chauncey, and we're not gonna play Allen Iverson because we got Rodney Stuckey.
Yeah,
Like that was the issue.
he sold us a bill of goods.
Then Rodney Stuckey went to Indiana, didn't even play.
Nah, man, because he was trash.
He
trash.
put up 50 points one time.
Didn't even play. But
fluke ass game.
indeed. But but like we were saying, though, like the Pistons were integral in like the growth of the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls, if they were ever going to be champions, they were going to have to go through Detroit. Like, bar none, that's what it was. That ain't even like just on some straight up fact shit. They had to go through Detroit.
Right.
We call the Pistons the bad boys. Like they played a hard nosed brand of basketball, man. Like you came down the lane, you was getting hacked, man. Let's just call it what it was. You was gonna get hit.
That was an
Listen,
era
man.
of basketball at that time. Though. That wasn't just the Pistons.
What I was about to send this to you on earlier today on Span on Instagram. Joe's Coney Island. He got some like video of Chicago and Detroit, like their actual rivalry, because both them niggas was hacking. Like that those couple scenes that y'all put together on that little documentary that y'all got, it made it look real one-sided.
Yeah,
but like
I got pictures
no.
of Scotty. I got pictures of Scotty taking out Bill Lambier.
Man, y'all,
Isaiah Thomas.
I got pictures and I got video of Jordan doing that shit. Like this was a back and forth thing. It wasn't like so listen, Isaiah broke down what the Jordan rules was. And like it wasn't that we about to go fuck him up. It was like one, he can't dribble to his left. So we're gonna push everything to his left. When he go to his left, he dribbled 2 times, and at that particular point, he wasn't passing. So we're gonna force him into a bad shot. You can't, in general, you can't come to the lane for a layup or a dunk. He was an 85% free throw shooter at the time. So he was like, listen, so if he comes for a dunk, we're going to stop him before he gets in the air, because once he's in the air, we can't touch him. You know what I'm saying? So if we can, a dunk is going to be 2 points, but we can make him miss one or whatever. There was like 3 different things that they did. Oh, and they'll double team him or whatever. And those were the Jordan rules. Now, in general, you can't, even today, you can't go to the hole. Just come through the middle of the lane.
Somebody got to make you pay. You got to earn it.
You got to make them pay.
You always got a going on the squad. I get all of that. You always going to have a going on the squad. However, Dennis Rodman in the same damn documentary was like, yeah, we was trying to physically hurt Michael Jordan. We was trying to hurt this nigga. Like he said,
hey, man, the game is the game.
And then you see some video clips of Rodman while he was with the Bulls fucking people up too.
Oh, indeed.
Like
when he played for us, we love that shit, right? That's the point.
Right.
That's the point that I'm making about the irrationality of all of this shit. Is that like, yo, Dennis Rodman? I didn't foresee like when he first got to Chicago. I'm like, man, what the fuck are they doing? Like, why
it's
would
all good when the town bully is your homeboy.
Right. That's
what I'm saying. It's all good then.
When Zeus ain't fucking with you, y'all good. You know what I'm saying? But then Zeus snatching your chain and you run into the car and go call your grandma and shit. You
absolutely
feel it a certain way. So I'm just saying, like, the Pistons at the time, they had the reputation, whether like it was the way that basketball was played. Like a lot of people say that shit now, like that was the way the game was played. But the Pistons had the reputation. That was how they like made their name for themselves throughout the league, was being a hard-nosed, physical basketball team in the half court. That's pretty much where they stake their reputation and their identity in that.
You know,
but they wasn't the only ones though.
No, and I'm gonna go a little bit further with that because, you know, man, my mother's from Jersey. She a diehard New York Knicks fan. Grew up in, you know, on the East Coast her whole life. Go back and take a look at them old New York Knicks teams in the mid '90s. Patrick Ewing,
Steve.
Xavier McDaniel, Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley. They wasn't playing that shit neither. John Starks.
Those guys
Mark
came
Jackson,
after the
those
Pistons.
were tough ass teams.
Those guys came after the Pistons, though.
Look at video of Larry Bird with the 76ers and the Celtics scrapping, or
Robert
LA
Parrish, Kevin McHale.
Yeah,
They was raw.
like Boston and LA used to be scrapping, clotheslining down like fam. This rough, quote unquote, rough play in those highlight reels.
Mhm.
So that's how basketball was played.
So I hear y'all, right? And y'all saying like the Bulls are making this look like it's a one-sided.
Carmen Washington knocked out Rudy Tomjanovich.
Yes, he did.
Knocked him the fuck out.
He almost killed that guy.
Y'all seen that Kurt Rambis
Yeah,
clothesline?
Yeah,
The famous clip. Like
the 80s was a different time.
it was a different time. However, the Pistons stake their reputation on that. As much as we talk about how much that is like a sign of how they played the game, that's what the Pistons embraces their reputation. They wanted to be known as a team who will put you on your ass. That's pretty much how they sold themselves for a long time.
Well, see what really happened was this, though. To be perfectly honest, the NBA was changing, and it was very clear who they wanted to be the star. It went from Jordan and Magic. Bird and Magic, and they wanted Jordan to be it. And somehow, the Pistons, who was one of the best teams in the East, they tried to wipe them out of history. Like they wasn't like we a small town, and like we wasn't glitz and glamour, and we're like, no, y'all not about to give us that. We don't get no respect. So we developed the chip on our shoulder because y'all kept trying to write us out of history. Like it's not Magic, Bird, then Jordan. No, the Pistons was here. Like we got our back-to-back championships, but like even before then, like we was there in 1986. That Celtics team that some say was the greatest team of all time. In 87, the Pistons had them down. Like we was about to win in 87. Like, no, give us our respect. Y'all can't write us out of history. So it began in the
90s. We ushered in the 90s.
Yeah, like
couple things. In 1990, Detroit was like the 6th largest city in the nation. Man, we wasn't no small town. I was here then. Wasn't no small town.
Man, Midwest small town atmosphere, man. Blue collar, okay.
Detroit was over 1 million motherfuckers was in Detroit in 1990. Wasn't no small town, bro.
It was cracking in 1990, okay.
Yeah, man.
It was cracking in 1990.
On top of that, though, like so, I get that whole like we gotta have a chip on our shoulder. Hold on a second. He called. I him back. We gotta have a chip on our shoulder. Because the league ain't respecting us, this and the other. I hear y'all, but it kind of goes against the whole thing of being the bad boys and not giving a fuck about what people think too, though. So I'm trying to figure out why we having it both ways. We're like, we ain't getting no respect, but
we gonna take our respect, and we don't give a fuck. We try to play it your way, and y'all want to act like that. Well, fine, we gonna take it. And what you gonna do about it?
Now you have to notice us because we're the 2-time defending champs. You have to go through us in order to get over that hump. And like I said, man, no hero is complete without a villain in the story. You got to overcome something.
I hear you.
We overcame Boston.
Y'all
Frederick Douglass said, with no struggle, there's no progress.
Indeed. He sure as hell said that. Did he
Mike Epps. I alerted.
Did he elbow a motherfucker when he said it, though? It's all right. So, like the Pistons are like, we were here, man. They were one call away from being maybe a 3-time champion, probably being the first team to repeat.
Absolutely.
Bulls fans could probably say, well, we was one migraine headache away from being 3-time champions, almost 4-time champions if Scotty don't lose and don't have a headache in 1990. Y'all never even see the Portland Trailblazers that year. Scotty's playing 100%.
No, I don't believe that though.
Yeah. That's
if
why
it was the 5th, we'd all be drunks, man.
Exactly.
I mean, it'd have been a more compelling game.
Yeah,
but they wasn't ready to win yet.
Yeah, because they blew us out that game.
Like they wasn't ready to win till Jordan was like, "I'm about to get strong on you niggas."
Yeah, when he got the weight with him.
Plus, we was getting old.
I knew that was gonna come up. Them niggas wasn't old. Man.
Come on, man. Spam. We were nearing the end of the Isaiah Thomas era. Rick Mahorn, Buddha,
Buddha was on the damn 96 Bulls team that won a chip. What you talking about?
But Buddha wasn't like no star, nigga. Buddha was a rap.
He wasn't, but he was serviceable. You know what I'm
saying? What's so funny is
wasn't Robert Parrish on that team too?
Robert Parrish was on that squad.
Okay,
John was on that squad.
It's called just ring chasing.
We had a whole lot of expats on that Bulls team, man, riding coattails and shit from the Bulls. I mean, from the Pistons and the Boston Celtics, bro.
You get a vet, you pay him $300,000 to give you 8 minutes a night and 6 rebounds, man. That's ring chasing. That don't count.
All right, so check this out, man. The question I got for y'all, because like I said, I think the Jordan rules is like them niggas is just hacks, man. That's just how I feel as a Bulls fan. They was just hacks. But apparently, this is the attitude that people have, is that like that was the game that was how the game was played. Now we get to a point where the Bulls finally get over that hump though. They go ahead and they sweep Detroit in the 1991 NBA Eastern Conference Finals. They decide they're gonna walk off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the right move for them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all think it was the right move?
Absolutely do.
Even though like half that team is saying they would have done it differently if they had not.
Because we seen that y'all been crying for the last 30 fucking years. So it was like, damn.
And there was another half of the team that doubled down on it and said they'd actually do it again. There was people tend
to count for the other half, because he's the only one that's saying that shit right now. And as much as I
like this
and beer, I respect that motherfucker standing on that shit right there.
Hey, you ever heard of Detroit Pistons talking shit about the Chicago Bulls?
All the time.
Who?
Dennis Rodman at one point. Isaiah Thomas, he was a Chicago Bull, but see, here's the thing about Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is somewhat like me. He's conflicted because he got dual loyalty. I'm from Chicago, but I've lived in Detroit for 27 fucking years. So I got love for the city, but at the same time, I got love for where I'm from.
We gave Dennis his identity. There would be no worm without coming through Detroit. And I'm perfectly fine with them standing firm on that. There was a lot of disrespect coming from Chicago during those years. Like people want to glaze over them facts. There was a lot of disrespect. Chicago had to earn it. Stop crying.
Jordan telling us.
Can you imagine being from Chicago and having relatives in Detroit?
Well, first of all, I would never want to be from there.
Oh my!
Couldn't imagine.
Greatest city in the Midwest, baby. Come on, don't do that. Greatest city in the Midwest. Don't do that, man. Capital.
I heard that song before by Lupe.
No, but I'm just saying. Like, there's that. Like, could you imagine being from Chicago, having relatives from Detroit, or vice versa? And yeah, you went to those barbecues, man. If y'all got relatives from Chicago, so you went to those barbecues, man. It's like, everybody gonna talk shit. Like, even though you love each other and you know y'all blood and everything, but when it came to those games, like, nah, ain't no love there, man. We gonna whoop y'all ass.
Pistons fans.
Yeah, Pistons fans, we Chicago fans, and we gonna talk cash shit over this phase game. You know what I'm saying? I just pretty what it was.
But I do want to put that in proper context when we did walk off the court, though.
Okay.
Because that was specifically after Jordan made his comments about Detroit not deserving the ring, and you told them that they was bad for basketball.
I think that was how he felt at the time, like for real.
But you would lose.
So stand on your comments and take what comes. You can say whatever you want to, but there are consequences for your words.
Like Jordan, like get over that shit. Like Isaiah didn't say, like, listen, man, we didn't like that team. We hated that team, but we don't got no problem with them individually. Y'all still holding a grudge 30 years later, fam. We don't even think about that shit. Like
shit though.
I don't think so, because you're not about to find no soundbite from Isaiah bringing up shit from Boston. Boston walked off the court with them. They didn't care.
So here's the thing. I know he brought up the Boston shit when he brought up the Boston thing, because like this is the other thing. Like Isaiah Thomas has been doing the rounds on all of the sports talk shows about like how the Pistons were portrayed in this particular series or on this documentary. And he made the point to say that, like, well, when we won in 80, I want to say 86, it was 87. When we won in 87, Boston was walking off of the floor when Adrian Dantley was shooting free throws. And like, I had to go out and I had to go get, Kevin McHale in order to like get that dap and whatever that y'all see. Like, and that's what they did. And we didn't have any problems with that.
Larry Bird walked his ass right the fuck off. Ain't nobody say nothing.
Right. And I hear all of that. Right. But the situation, like, to me, and Mike made the point right after that. It was like, man, when we lost to y'all, when the Bulls lost to the Pistons, each and every time, he was like, yo, man, as much as it hurt me to go out here and congratulate these motherfuckers and tell them, good luck and everything else, I made a point to go out there and do that. You know what I'm saying? And he went out there, shook them motherfuckers' hands, good luck, give him hell, this, that, and the other. So to have it on the flip side, we're like, okay.
But you a loser, though. We already the champions. What you doing don't mean it ain't the same. I'm up here already. Like, I'm not trying to come down to your.
And as much as I love Mike as a player, he's been a crybaby since the day he entered the NBA.
Like that's what Mike needs, because he hold a grudge. That's what Mike needs to drive himself to be better. Like he blew that shit out of proportion, fam. Motivation. Like we from the 80s. Michael ran the 90s, but Detroit and Boston, all them, that was in the 80s. We a different era. You one of the young guys coming up, you wanted to shake our hands and shit like that. Man, get the fuck out of my face. Y'all coming up, we coming down. So how all that shit in the paper about how we didn't deserve this? And I'm not about to shake your hand. You told us that we didn't even deserve. You told us we was bad for basketball. Why you want to shake our hand?
I hear you. So how do you explain then the very next series, Bulls beat the Los Angeles Lakers in 5, and Magic Johnson makes it a point to go over there to Mike and congratulate him after he got his ass whooped?
Because they friends.
Good for Magic.
No, he's a champion, right?
But Magic and Jordan is friends, though.
They weren't at that particular point. Magic was already here. Him and Larry was already there. Isaiah got the game. He already there. Jordan hadn't done it up until that point.
We the fucking bad boys. How we look like going out, taking the L and going to hug on these niggas. After you done said all that shit about us.
So that's the point that I'm making, though. So now you the bad boys. Stand on that shit today. Isaiah Thomas going out here talking about how, like, if I'd have known all this shit was gonna happen.
No, that's not quite what he said. He's like, obviously, knowing that y'all been crying for the last 30 years, we would probably make different decisions. But at that particular time,
Clear it up.
That time, that's the decision we made.
Right. He's saying at that time that's the decision that they made. But hindsight being 2020,
hindsight is always 2020. You can't change the past.
Hindsight being 2020, they would do things differently. However, the only one of that Pistons team to say that he wouldn't do shit differently.
They only talked to two people. He said the only one. It's two people that was talking.
Baby. That was the only one that stand on his bad shit.
They had a little John Sally sprinkled in there, but it was basically Bill and Isaiah.
Hold on.
They only asked that question to one person.
So here's the thing. This is part of the reason why I said I can't really shit on John Sally, and I can't really shit on Joe Dumars, is because John Sally also said, like, I didn't want to be taken out of that game because I wanted to shake those dudes' hands after they beat us. Like, I didn't want to be a part of that shit. Like, the whole thing with them walking off the court and everything, he's like, yo, he told Chuck Daly, put me back in the game so I could at least shake their hand and shit. Like, he didn't want to be a part of that.
John Sally a friendly nigga. So listen.
And then Joe Dumars is just like classy dude anyway. Like, as much as I don't really like fuck with the Pistons like that, Joe Dumars classy guy.
So always. They talked about that shit. Isaiah talked about that shit today. He was like, listen.
Isaiah been doing the rounds, baby. Like, he been all over the place.
Yeah, man, he on that press run.
He was in the dock. They, ESPN ain't got shit else to talk about. Hey, Isaiah, could you come down and talk to us, please?
They've been on ESPN 4 times in a day.
They've been running the motherfucking the standings and everything at that point in time.
Yeah. But Isaiah was like, listen, dog, we did everything as a unit. We did everything as a team. So, like, and we did lockstep. So when the co-captain, Bill Lambier, said, yo, all that shit they was talking about us, we ain't shaking them hand, nigga, we out. We stood together as a team. That's the decision that my team made. We'll talk about that shit in the back. But while right there, if Dame goes shoot that motherfucker, shoot the club up or shoot a house up, I'm in the car, and when we get back to the car, I'm like, nigga, why the fuck did you do that? But like, while we out there, I'm riding with my man.
Whose man's is this?
It's my man.
Well, right,
okay.
Lambier asking that same question, like, whose man is this? Every time Isaiah open his mouth, like, bro, what you doing? We supposed to.
You got to be clear though. Like, you got to watch Isaiah, dog, because Isaiah.
You're slick talk.
No, this the thing though. Today they asked Isaiah. Jalen Rose was like, Isaiah Thomas, you from the south side? You from the west side of Chicago? He said, right. He said, Horace Grant got on TV and said y'all was some bitches. He said, what'd you think about it? He said, I laughed. He said, because all over these years, I see them guys out and about. I see Horace Grant. he don't got nothing but nice things to say about me. I say I see Michael Jordan, everybody cordial. Say it's one thing to talking on TV and
Horace
talking on
Nice is a
radio,
Sunday
but when
brunch.
y'all see me face to face, y'all don't say that shit. Please believe. Do y'all remember when the Pistons and the 76ers got into a scrap
Yes.
and little Isaiah Thomas was tagging Rick Mahorn in the chin? Like, no, Isaiah throwing them hands, dog.
I hear you.
I think
First of all,
Jordan don't want smoke.
I haven't heard Horace Grant speak in probably 25 years.
I was surprised to see him. The last time I saw Horace Grant was on like a Hot 97 interview, and they was asking for shit on Mike. They wasn't even asking Horace shit about what he had going on.
Nigga had no glasses on. He looked weird and shit. Look old.
Who is he? Who is this guy?
Like, is this you or your brother, nigga? Like,
Didn't he have a son in the league for a second?
Say that again.
I don't know.
I think he had a son in the league for a second.
His
Listen,
brother got a son in the league.
I don't think them niggas want no smoke with Isaiah Thomas then or now. I swear Isaiah will knuckle up.
I don't know.
Look, Isaiah got them fake teeth in his mouth, and ain't nobody knocked him out.
Isaiah still looks like he's 30 years old right now. He ain't the same size he was when he was in the league. He's still in shape.
Isaiah got the Nene Leaks teeth, man. He's straight. He ain't trying to get into those scrap, bro. He ain't nothing. Really, real talk though. Ain't nothing.
Better yet, you ain't gonna hit me in these teeth.
Ain't none of them dudes trying to scrap now, man. And truthfully speaking, while we talking all this shit about like the rivalry and everything, I think at this particular point in time and in this moment in their lives, a lot of those dudes then really kind of got over the shit. Even the
Chicago.
Jordan. Hold on a second. Because they were talking about this on First Take this morning. Because they had, of course, like I said, they had Isaiah Thomas on there. Isaiah Thomas been doing the rounds. Isaiah Thomas has, by and large, been giving Michael Jordan a lot of respect as far as him being probably like one of the greatest players to ever play. Even on First Take this morning, he was talking about the only reason we even hear talking about a lot of this shit is because of the greatness of that team and of Michael Jordan and everything else. And Stephen A went on to say, Stephen A went on there and he was talking about how as much as Mike hated those teams, that he still had respect for Isaiah Thomas. He called Isaiah Thomas the second greatest point guard he ever like played against, the first being Magic Johnson. So like there's a respect there, but I think what we can kind of confuse sometimes is like when we see these documentaries, they're talking about the time in which they're playing and how they felt then, and like
Jordan said he still hate them niggas now.
I think he
said that.
Yeah, he said, I hate, like, the hate for that team still stands to this day. Like, I think he's talking about, like, how he felt. Like, he still feels that way about the team and what they put him through in order for him to get to where he got.
You see that nigga? You seen his face when he was handing him the phone to show him what Isaiah Thomas said. He was like, I seen his face and I read the energy. He don't fuck with Zeke.
I don't think Zeke fucks with him either, though.
He said every time, he was like, listen, I never had a problem. Matter of fact, even back then, I remember them saying like Jordan's one of the greatest. So we just had to, when they was talking about the Jordan rules, he was like, look, the nigga the great. Like, we see the nigga, he the truth. We know he coming up.
Check it.
But
we know he gonna put up his points. We know he gonna do what he do. And you know what? I'm not opposed to niggas still keeping that same hateful energy 30 years later.
Not for me personally. Not enough to keep me off the not enough to keep me off the 92 Olympic, the dream team.
It wasn't
that shit.
That was magic. That was magic.
And the story that we've been hearing.
And we gonna get into that in a second. Go ahead and make your point real quick, Dad. We gonna get that in a second.
I need further proof. I'm not gonna believe that it was magic. I just need more concrete evidence.
I heard it was Jordan and Magic, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Because the handshake shit, and then they said that Isaiah didn't pass. He didn't pass Michael Jordan the ball in an All-Star game or some shit, mixed with that handshake shit, and allegedly, Magic didn't like a comment that Isaiah said. So when they got to
Isaiah insinuating something once at how Magic may have acquired AIDS.
So
I think that was part of it.
So Tim was the number one and number two. They got together and was like, "Yo, you can't play."
So here's the thing, because they talked about this earlier today. As a matter of fact, do I have that? I thought I had the video of it. Let me see if I got the video of it. I'll probably be able to show y'all here this. Yeah, here's Isaiah Thomas talking about how he ended up not being on that on a 92 Dream Team. And they were juxtaposing this with the fact that he did not shake the hands of the Bulls when they beat him in 91. So let me pull this up so you guys can watch this here right along with me. Hold on just a second. All right.
Could you explain to us what kind of effect do you believe you walking off the court behind Lambeer after losing to the Chicago Bulls has had on your career, your reputation, your life as an NBA phenom and Hall of Famer? Could you put into context what has happened in your career?
Hey, can you guys see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Since that happened.
You know, I would say I've paid a heavy price for that moment, and if that moment meant that I'm not selected to be on the Dream Team because of that moment, that's hurtful. That cuts deep. Because in 1980, I was selected as the male athlete by the U.S. Olympic Committee, and in 1980, the Olympics were boycotted. And the only glaring hole that's missing on my resume is an Olympic gold medal. I was the MVP in 1979 in the Pan Am Games, the youngest player to have ever won an MVP.
Man, they did Zeke dirty.
At that time in the Pan Am Games in 1979. I was in high school. In 80 on the Olympic team, and now to be left off the Dream Team. And the criteria for the Dream Team was, who's done the most for the game, who's won the most championships. And at that time, I think Magic had won 4, Bird had won 3, I had won 2, and Jordan, had just won 1. So I thought that I was safe. So not making that team, that definitely hurt. That's hurt me tremendously.
Max, give me a second to follow here. Very important follow-up, because covering the league, Isaiah, it's fair that I throw this at you. There are folks that are when they talk about the Dream Team, they bring up 2 things. It wasn't about Michael Jordan wanting you off that team. It was a plethora of players, purportedly, who didn't want you on the team. And they also say that Chuck Daly got left off the hook. The late, great Daddy Rich, as John Sally loves to call him. He was your
right
champion. He was the original coach of the Dream Team. He was the coach having the power to bring you on the team, and he didn't bring you on the team. What's your response to that?
So, those plethora of players, every year, I was the president of the Players Association 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, unanimously voted as president of the NBA Players Association.
Tell them, Zeke.
Plethora of players to represent them. And it just seems kind of fun. And by the way, I said unanimously. So yes, I represented Jordan at the table. I represented Pippen at the table, and I've never heard Jordan. Honestly, I've never heard Jordan really say that he didn't want me on the Dream Team. Now I heard people say that.
Shit.
But I've never heard it come out of his mouth. The only 2 people I really heard say anything is Pippen and Karl Malone. Those other plethora of players, I haven't heard them say anything. So this is what you and Max should do. Tell those plethora of players. Yeah, cite them off. Tell me who those plethora of players were.
If they gave me permission, I would. If they gave me permission, I'd tell you exactly who they were.
Now, wait. You can't now. Not saying that they have to give you permission. I understand your journalistic integrity, but this is what I'm saying about us as men, right? Hey, I'm man enough to stand up and say what I like, what I don't like, who I don't like, and you ain't never heard me say, well, off the record, Stephen A. This guy's blah 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 blah. No, if I got something to say, I stand up and I say, and I sit in front of your face and say it. I'm from the west side of Chicago.
Right.
Nobody.
But you do know a lot of players who do. But you do know a lot of
players.
players who do hot.
And that's why I've called some of them. Some of them have seen some stuff on the radio and on TV. And I've called them up personally and said, hey, I heard that you said this on the radio and TV.
Check them, Zeke.
I was with you the other day, and you couldn't say that to my face. You couldn't say it to my face, but you can hide on TV and say you're going to. But when we face to face, right next to each other, where you at?
Where that same energy.
All right.
Where that same energy. Check.
You said you don't got nobody from the. You said you ain't got nobody from the Pistons that you can respect.
I don't. Like I said, I'm being irrational here, bro. Like I'm telling you, man, I'm being irrational about a lot of this shit. But
Zeke said, "When I see you niggas, you don't have shit to say to me."
No, but listen though, because like we were talking about, and Stephen A. wouldn't name some of the people. And I'm surprised that he wouldn't name them because this is like kind of like knowledge is out here. Larry Bird was one of those guys who didn't necessarily want to play with Isaiah Thomas on that team. Magic Johnson was also one of those guys who didn't want to play with Isaiah.
The three niggas we beat.
Right. So you got Magic, Pippen, Larry Bird, and Jordan, right?
Y'all some hoes.
So
that's some hoe shit.
Think about this. So is Chuck Daly a hoe too? Because Chuck Daly could have brought him on that team if he really wanted to.
Well, now I'm gonna fuck the whole team up now. You know what I'm saying? If like as a coach,
they probably would have started dropping off, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like now now it's messed up.
Indeed. And so like the point that I'm making though, like because it wasn't solely the fact that Jordan did not want this guy on that team. And I know a lot of the time, like over the years, a lot of them were like Mike being petty. Mike don't want him on that team. Truthfully speaking, though, like Magic Johnson was out here like, yo, this motherfucker been spreading rumors about me being bisexual and telling people that's how I contracted HIV. He's supposed to be my boy. I don't want this nigga around.
Well, Magic never really come out and say how he caught it.
And he put that in the book. Like Magic put that in the book. Is like I forget the name of the book right now. Is I swear to God, is slipping my tongue right now. But he put that shit in the book a few years ago, and this is before him and like Isaiah made up.
Did they sit down? Yeah.
Did they sit down or whatever? But like they weren't cool for a long fucking time, and that was the reason why Magic felt like Isaiah was out here talking reckless about his HIV diagnosis.
Can we talk some truth though? Because Magic has never come out and defended himself either way. How he caught the "As I Die Slowly." So,
but also just that statement because Zeke said, which I think what he was really getting to is I ain't heard Michael Jordan say it out of his mouth. Also, he ended up with saying, "Whenever I got something to say, I'm gonna say that shit." AKA, if that's what you did, then say that shit. Stand on it. Because I'm gonna stand on everything I stand on. Now, Michael Jordan is 30 years later, what you hiding behind? I'm not gonna bullshit. Like Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. I'm gonna give you that. Yeah. But that's some whole shit still. If you did it, you did it. Also, if the nigga ain't want to shake your hand, you don't gotta shake your fucking hand. Like I get that that's what you need to as your little motivation for you to move on into that's cool. But now you're not playing no more. Let that shit go. Like you still mad.
I think largely the Bulls have let it go because they won so much, right? And
Horace Grant called them some bitches. He didn't seem like he
said at the time they walked off like some bitches. That's what he said. They walked
30 years later, Span. 30 years later.
I'm just saying, man, if you felt that way when you played some niggas, right? You're like, yeah, that was a bitch move they did. Like it's not to say that you a bitch now. It's saying like, yo, the shit that you did that time, yeah, that was a bitch move, bro. Like
what Isaiah been alluding to all day he was on 4 different shows is like, listen, it's perfectly fine for us teams to have rivals. Yeah. Y'all taking it too far because now y'all making it personal and doing individually. Like individually, I ain't never have no problem with nobody on the Chicago team. I don't have a problem with Michael Jordan. You ain't never heard me say nothing about Michael Jordan. You heard me talk shit about their team as a whole, but what y'all doing or what y'all have done has impacted me personally, and y'all made y'all grudges. Y'all made that shit. Y'all couldn't separate. Like what happened on the floor. Like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson was really competitive, and then after the game, they're friends. We can go at it on the floor, but y'all made that shit personal, and that shit weak to me. Y'all kept me off the team. That's not fair, man.
I think Magic Johnson should get the brunt of that one though. Like for years we've been hearing it's been Mike. it ain't just Mike, man. It was just Mike. But,
Carmen done caught Magic because he raising big gay Magic.
my God. So
Facebook strike.
We did a poll here for the Beer Chicken Podcast tonight, man, for to ask you guys who listen to the show whether or not you thought the Detroit Pistons hurt their legacy when they declined to shake hands with the Chicago Bulls after losing to them in the 91 playoffs. All right. So these are the results.
I need to see some demographics from where these people are that voted.
Hold on,
hurt their legacy.
Hold on, I'm because it's kind of included in the poll results. All right. So, 38% of the people who voted in this poll said, "Hell yeah, that was some sucker shit." Those are Bulls fans. They go out and say they're Bulls fans. 38.1%. Okay. 30.
That wasn't the question though.
What?
They said that's some sucker shit, but did it hurt their legacy?
Well, they Bulls fans. Like, yeah, it hurt their legacy. That's what it said. Hell yeah, that was some sucker shit. Bulls fans. 38% of them said that. Hell nah, we from Detroit, we don't care. 30.9% of the people who voted in this poll said, hell nah, I don't hurt their legacy. We from Detroit, we don't give a shit. Right? People who said yes, and they ain't from Chicago. 16.6% of the people who voted in this poll said, yeah, they hurt their legacy, and we ain't from Chicago. We don't, that's the thing. And 14.2% of the people said no, and they not from Detroit. They said, nah, they didn't hurt their legacy whatsoever. So that's how I broke down, man. That's how I broke down with the poll that we did here at the Beer Chicken Podcast, man. What are y'all thoughts on the poll that you
happened? My thoughts is this. I'm 38 years old. So I was around, even though I was still a youngin watching all those games, but like I was around. And a lot of these people I watched, I'm on Twitter heavy, and I'm on Twitter while The Last Dance is going on. I see a lot of 20-somethings chiming in about a lot of shit that y'all have no fucking idea what y'all talking about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know the era of basketball. You don't know how good these teams were. You don't know, like, people saying Jordan didn't play against nobody. Like, y'all don't know what the fuck y'all be talking about. And like, so half of their opinion, unless it come with an age number on it, I don't even respect it because you wasn't there. You didn't see it.
I don't want to say that the numbers are skewed. I mean, that's a pretty good mix, but I have to agree with Jay. Me and Jay, same age. I'm 38. I watched Jordan. You know what I'm saying? I remember watching him hit the shrug against, the Trailblazers in '92. I remember the scoop around against the Lakers. Like, I watched that shit on TV. I watched Jordan's entire career. You can't tell me about the greatness of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. If you're talking about him not being, when people talk ignorantly, I can't listen. And if you're ignorant enough to talk about MJ not being in your top three, if not, you can argue the 2 and 3 spot, but there's no argument against number one. It's Jordan. Plain and simple.
Indeed.
I'm gonna say I wish I can. So listen.
Shout out to Bernard Perryman, man. He said what they did to Zeke was jacked up.
It was,
you are correct.
And history that is not been kind to Zeke. The Pistons were more than just a good defensive team. They were, if you look at the stats, they were a high scoring team. They actually still got the record for the highest scoring game in NBA history. It's like 184 points or something like that. They talk about the Jordan rules, but what about the Isaiah Thomas and the Piston rules? Did you know that they used to change the rules to against the Pistons? So,
to keep them
no, offensively, because I get Bill Laimbeer and Isaiah Thomas used to do a pick and pop instead of a pick and roll. So what they ended up doing was changing the rules where only three people couldn't go over the top. Like they kept and the infamous Jordan Byron Russell push off. Like,
hey man, bring up old shit, man.
What I'm saying is that it used to be illegal. You used to couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But because Jordan is Jordan, they started letting him push off. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't like that. Like, fam, you can't push a whole defender off. But they let him do that because people started double teaming him because he was so like, oh, fine. It's not right, dog.
He
Not
just
right.
he just used that man's momentum against him. That's all, man. It's like an old kung fu move. That's all it is.
Yeah, man.
But
Except he almost fell.
I'll be honest, I kept when I was watching on Sunday, when they going through the Bad Boys stuff, I'm thinking like, why the fuck they go back to the Chicago? Like, I forgot this wasn't the Bad Boys doc.
Yeah, and that's the other part about this too. And like, I know we've been talking about the Pistons a lot on here, and that was kind of what I meant though, because the Pistons did have an opportunity to give their side. They had a whole 30 for 30 Bad Boys doc on ESPN, and so like, you know, as much as we are talking about the Detroit Pistons and them, you know, giving their side, like they've had an opportunity to give their side of the story about how they felt they were being portrayed in the media and everything else. They've given them an opportunity to have that, you know, their side of that story told. You know what I mean? But
they've embraced their portion of history.
Yeah,
they embraced being Bad Boys.
I do appreciate the documentary, and how it's not in a story format.
Yeah,
not in chronological order, because in order to share or show things about their final years, you got to go back and remember, okay, this is the team that went through this. Oh, on this final year when Dennis Rodman doing this, let's go back and when Dennis Rodman, where he came from, whatever. I like how they kept going back and forth, because it's like all that plays a part into how this became the last dance. You know, how this last season is. So I do enjoy that. And to be perfectly honest, without the Pistons, this team, Jordan would not be Jordan.
I can agree with that. As much as I don't like the motherfucker, I can agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he wouldn't be this version of Jordan. Like, he wouldn't go put on 15 pounds of muscle. He wasn't going to do that.
For who? Larry Bird?
He wasn't gonna put on 15 pounds of you know how much of a grudge he keep on people, and if you tell him he can't do something, when we knock him out the playoffs 3 years in a row, oh, that makes him better. We taught him how to win, and just how Boston taught Detroit how to win. And when Boston walked off the court, it wasn't a diss. They didn't take it that way. Like, nigga, it's just a thing. I don't even know where this shit came from. After every game, no one goes on. The whole team don't go over there and congratulate person after every game. So why we gotta do it on this one?
But like, you see that you see that often now with like young teams. They have to learn how to win. They learn how to play together. They learn how to win in the playoffs. We saw it happen to LeBron. We saw it happen to the Warriors. Excuse me?
Who taught LeBron how to win?
Well, first of all, he's the king. He willed himself to victory.
No. He had to go through who? Detroit had to whoop that ass a couple years ago.
He did.
Because Detroit is where you got to come through.
Them agendas, boy. The agendas coming.
I'm just saying. After Mike Jordan left, did the Bulls win another championship?
No, we've been thirsting in the motherfucker for about 20 years.
Okay. Well, you know, the Pistons, Detroit won another one. So
I'm just saying, it's about 20 years before we did it 3, baby, twice. You know what I'm saying? So don't even go there. Right? Don't even go there.
I'm just saying, all roads lead through Detroit.
And the 90s was a long time ago. That's 30 plus years, man. 30 plus years.
I hear you, man. I'm just saying, you know, don't remind me. But yo, man, going into episodes 5 and 6, man, what are y'all looking forward to seeing with episodes 5 and 6?
I really enjoy the behind the scenes aspect of the stories because I was a sports fan at that age when you're 12, 13, 14, like I don't now that I'm older, I'm a little bit more perceptive about the business end of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like at that age, I had no idea of, you know, some of the things that went on in the background, you know, how the team was literally falling apart. And I honestly think, you know, it's editing because it's reality TV at the end of the day. Jerry Krause wasn't a bad guy. Somebody needed to be the villain in this story, and that's how they painted him. But Jerry Krause was arguably a genius for how he put that team together and how he put that coaching together. Nothing lasts forever in life, and especially in sports.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Jay?
I want to see a little bit more from Michael Jordan about how he interacted with his teammates. He said he was kind of worried about when this came out. I guess there's some footage or some conversations he had with Scott Burrell or what's my man first name Scott?
That was Scott.
It don't matter.
It was Scott.
Yeah. He said he was really hard on him. He don't want people to think that he was mean, but he was just trying to pull something out of him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that we got there yet. So I'm interested in seeing how that is. We've seen Kobe go in on teammates. I want to see how that looks with Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying?
I'm also a little worried about Mike, man. He got something going on with his eyes that Visine ain't fixing.
Mike Jordan's eyes been red and yellow his whole career.
Yeah, that jaundice is really setting in.
And listen,
I wonder if the infamous Steve Kerr punch in the jaw is in this last season or not.
I'm sure that's gonna come up. I'm sure that's gonna come up because there's a lot of talk about that already. And even with the Scott Burrell stuff, there have been little like bits and pieces of them showing him like real dismissive with Scott Burrell. Like when they went to Paris and they won that championship in Paris, and he was like, "This don't count." Because Scott was like, "Yeah, we go celebrate." And he's like, "This ain't nothing, bro. Like this is preseason shit. Like what the fuck you doing?"
And I like how they've been downplaying some of the role players. You know, Ron Harper was a big part of them teams winning.
And I think they're gonna show a little bit more of Ron Harper as he becomes, because he wasn't a part of that first three-peat. He was a part of that second three-peat.
Dog, Ron Harper used to ball in Cleveland, man.
And that's another thing too that we kind of glossed over. That Cleveland team that like when Jordan hit the shot, that Cleveland team was a dog ass squad that not a lot of people talk about. They had Mark Price on that squad,
Brad Daugherty, Craig Elo,
Larry Nance was on that team.
And Ron Harper. Y'all remember Ron Harper in dunking contests with Jordan in them?
He was a dog. Yes. He was a dog. And so
he hurt his knees, and it was never the same for him.
And he became a real good role player, like defensively. Like, you know, the Bulls had a real big ass backcourt with nobody in the damn backcourt less than 6'6". You know what I'm saying? So you got Ron Harper and Michael Jordan in that backcourt, Scottie Pippen in that front court with Dennis Rodman and Luke Longley. That was a long ass team. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we're going to see more of Ron Harper as they progress, you know, further into the story with the second three-peat. Because right now they kind of focusing a little bit more on like that first three-peat and what it took for that team to finally get over that.
I do want to point out something else. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, y'all kind of shady though. Like y'all was going in on Krause, talking about making fat jokes and doing like that shit uncalled for and it's unprofessional. Like nigga, that's your boss. Like yo. You going to the gym? You sure you don't want to work out and you fat? And Scottie Pippen having this PMS mode in the back of the bus talking like them. That's not right. That's not. And y'all wondering like why y'all? I don't give a fuck about y'all because y'all keep antagonizing me. He a grown man, and y'all supposed to be grown men professionals.
I kind of took from that though that they were being retaliatory in the way in which Jerry Krause was trying to break up that team before in the time where they felt like he was being premature. Like, yo, we out here winning, dude. What are you doing talking about this Phil Jackson last year? And you know I'm tied to this dude. If I ain't playing for this guy, I'm not playing for nobody. You actively out here trying to trade me. And these are the guys who have made
it's business though.
I hear that, but as players, like and I tend to
8 years, dog.
I hear you, but like, and I tend to like, and I got this, you know, being a union guy and shit. I tend to side with the players more often than I do the management in situations like that. I always tend
It's been 8 years, right?
I hear you.
Y'all got 6 rings, but 2 of them years y'all didn't win. It's been 8 years.
They didn't have 6 at the time.
Right. Well, but this group has been together since 8 years. Jordan already 38. You know what I'm saying? 37, 38. I think about 37 around this time, right?
About 36, 37, something like that. Yeah.
Like y'all already going towards the end of y'all career. Like if I sign, and I just gave Jordan $60 million over the last 2 years, I gotta re-sign Pippen. If I spend all my money on Pippen and Jordan, man, we're not gonna win. Like we're not gonna win.
At the time they had because you can go over that cap so long as you was replaying. If you was re-signing the players you already got, you can go over that cap. That's how the cap.
But I don't want to because we're going to fuck around. I'm going to end up with 2 good players and a team full of ass. And I got Michael Jordan, but he getting old. And I got to, and I'm stuck with this team for the next 10, 15, 20 years. The players is playing for right now. I gotta do this.
And I think
so.
that,
Like,
And span union or not, the inmates can't run the asylum.
I hear that, but I'm just saying this though. Like, I think the bull and Michael Jordan spoke about this at the time. Hey man, if we gonna lose the shit, let us lose the shit on the floor. Don't make it be a thing where we losing it just because we don't want to compete anymore. Let us.
That went too far. Like, when you just got this thing against Phil Jackson, like, yo, no matter what, like, that's.
And Jerry Krause is making a lot of that shit personal, with like bringing a whole new guy around, like inviting him to his daughter's, wedding and all this shit, leaving Phil Jackson out of it, that kind of shit. And truthfully speaking, as much as like, and we talked about this the last time we did this show, I kind of feel like Jerry Krause, although like he deserves a lot of credit for bringing that team together in the way in which he did, because he built that squad, right? He built that squad, and I think a lot of it was him not necessarily getting the credit that he felt he deserved at the time. He wanted that credit, and he wasn't getting it. But I think at the time, him wanting that credit and not receiving it at the time played a lot into how he treated that team, and he kind of like wouldn't get out of his own way.
And them talking shit about him ain't help. Yeah,
them talking shit about him didn't help. But I think at that point they just kind of didn't give a fuck at a certain point. It's like, all right, man, if you're gonna go ahead and break up the team, fuck it then. We just gonna go out here, do what we can do, win a championship. If we can win a championship, we'll leave it all on the floor, and then whatever. You'll see what happens after we gone. But to go ahead and prematurely, because I feel like they all felt like it was a premature thing for him to go out there and try to get rid of that squad. But here's the other part about it. And I said this on the last Beer and Chicken. As much as Jerry Krause is kind of seen as a villain in this, none of that shit happens without the approval of Jerry Reinsdorf. And I feel like Jerry Reinsdorf got like kind of skated as far as being a villain is concerned, because he's the one who makes that decision as to whether or not Jerry Krause can even do the shit that he wants to do.
No, he gave Jerry Krause full control. Like, nigga, don't bother me with that shit. Make me some money. I give you control. I trust you.
And that's the point that I'm making. Like, as much as people talk about Jerry Krause being that villain, I think Jerry Reinsdorf has escaped a lot of culpability and wanted the team to fully break up the team. Jerry Reinsdorf was easy to blame because he was the one out in the newspapers talking all the shit. But none of that stuff happens without the say-so of the man up top. None of it happens.
But if I give you full control, then you in control.
Well, Jerry,
he's
the reason why they didn't get broke up before, because let Jerry Reinsdorf tell it. Jerry Krause wanted to break him up even after the fifth champ, like right before the fifth championship. He wanted to get rid of him then. So
when they still got value, that's what you're supposed to do.
You can't trade pieces that's not worth. You can't trade pieces that's not worth nothing.
I hear you.
You can't get rid of pieces that's not worth
that. You gotta let the wheels fall off on that one, man.
Ask Belichick about that shit.
They don't want 2 chips after you trying to get rid of these motherfuckers. They want 2 more chips.
But look, he found the coach, brought you on as assistant. I drafted Pippen. I found cool coach. I brung in Horace Grant. I brung in Bill. Like, I did all this shit.
He deserves credit for that. And I think the biggest part about why Jerry Krause acted out in the ways in which he did was because at the time he didn't feel like anybody respected him in a way where he felt he should have been respected. Like, yo, I put this together.
And I think that's Jordan fault too. Only reason I say that is because
you're the leader
they
of the
alluded
team.
to in the first episode is when they didn't want him to play when his foot was injured, he started talking shit about management, and they had a messed up relationship ever since then because he didn't think they prioritized winning right then. Like, Jordan, you saying, like, now that you're a GM and an owner, shouldn't you agree with them now? You know what I'm saying? But like, he started having that fucked up relationship with them, and he didn't respect Krause, and he probably never gave him no kind of love and respect, and that probably soured the relationship right there.
Well, he definitely said that hurt their relationship, because Jordan was like, at the time, like, man, why in the fuck he wasn't about the tanking shit. And at the time, it sounded like Krause was on some, let's not play you. Go ahead and get this extra draft pick. And they're, if we go to the playoffs, it's not like we're gonna win in the playoffs anyway. And they faced that 86 fucking Celtics team where Jordan scored 63, but the Celtics ultimately won that series. And so
you played to win the damn game.
And that's what Mike was thinking. Like, I'm playing to win.
Luckily, we ended up with Scottie Pippen. And you almost fucked that up, Mike.
Well, think about it though. Like, Jerry Krause was able to make that happen because he did some willing. I think that's the complicated thing about Krause is that he put that shit together. Like he rebuilt that team. Like at the time, nobody was building NBA basketball teams around a shooting guard. Nobody was doing it.
Everybody said he wasn't gonna do it. You had to be a big man.
You had to be a big man. That's why Houston went with Hakeem Olajuwon, all-time great. Not a bad pick at all. It's why Portland Trailblazers went with Sam Bowie, despite the fact that Michael Jordan might have been a better talent. They already had Clyde Drexler. We got to have a big man down low.
Clyde Drexler don't get his fucking respect.
He doesn't.
No, he don't.
But the point that I'm making is like at the time, the common knowledge was if you're gonna build a championship caliber team, you got to build that team around the big man. And Michael Jordan kind of changed the paradigm on that. We're like, yeah, you can build a championship caliber team around a shooting guard. And that's how you get the Kobe's. That's how you get the T-Max. That's how you get the fucking even the wing players like LeBron and Grant Hill and so on. Like the paradigm had changed where you didn't necessarily have to have a dominant big man in order to have a championship caliber team. You just had to have a transcendent player, and that transcendent player could come from anywhere on the floor. And that changed.
You still need a decent big man.
Right. And you needed the big man. That's why like he went out and he got a Horace Grant. That's why he went out and he traded Oakley for Bill Cartwright. I still never get that one, but like that whole thing. But he built the team around.
I didn't want to give Bill Cartwright the ball.
He said, with 5 seconds left, like this equal opportunity offense. What the fuck you talk about? But yeah, man, it's like Jerry Krause is a complicated individual. I think he couldn't get out of his own way at times, but ultimately the biggest villain in all of this, as far as breaking up the team, because Krause couldn't do it on his own, was Jerry Reinsdorf. I think Jerry Reinsdorf got out the hook a lot of times, and Jerry Krause took the heat for him on that. But yo, man, this been fun. This has been fun, man.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you brothers over at the Shop Talk Podcast, man.
Every week we do the benediction. I typically kick it off. It's Dame Gone Wild 313. You can follow us on ShopTalk Podcast, shoptalkpod.com. When you see the blue and the black, you know where you at. We'll be back in the building real soon.
Indeed.
I'm Jay Johnson 313. You can follow me on everything there. On Instagram, follow Shop Talk Podcast. Follow Shop Talk Podcast Studio. And we on Twitter too, man. The Shop Talk Pod. We got really good content, man. I appreciate you for having us on, man.
Yeah, man. We really appreciate. Span, you've been A1 since we connected. We love. I always say it's humbling when somebody asks us to come on their show, and give our opinions on something. We just two guys from the West Side that like to talk a little smack, and it's always humbling when we get invited somewhere. And man, just how the door's always open for you at Shop Talk Podcast. We appreciate the door being open here, brother.
Oh man, I appreciate that too, man. Real talk. And like I said, when I decided we was gonna do this, like the recap shit here at Beer and Chicken, and they was gonna have the Pistons, I'm like, I know some niggas I need to talk to.
We represent all things Detroit.
I know some niggas I need to talk to. So it was no question, man. Y'all was the first ones I hit up, man, and I was very appreciative that y'all will be willing to come on, man. Real talk. So
man, we always here for you, man.
I'm gonna check this StreamYard out too, by the way.
Yeah, because you just put us up on something, man, and we might have to add this to the repertoire.
We're gonna talk offline. Offline. But before we get out of here, let me remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Beer and Chicken Podcast. You heard. Go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Those messages will get played here live and responded to live here on the show. You can also hit us up on our email at feedback@thespanreport.com. That's feedback@thespanreport.com. Leave us those emails, and of course, those emails will get read here and responded to live on the show as well. Just tag that shit Beer and Chicken so we know which show to put it on, right? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Span. So go ahead, follow me there, chop it up with your man Span throughout the week. The homeboy Cliff had a family emergency. He couldn't join us, but you can hit that boy up at DJ Neff2. I'm sorry, DJ Neff Music on Twitter and Instagram, man. So go ahead, hit up the homeboy Cliff, man. Send that man your prayers, man. He dealing with some shit with the family, man. Real talk.
Prayers up, Cliff.
And hit up our website, www.thespanreport.com. Go there, leave us leave us a donation for those of you who want to support that way. Doesn't cost you a whole lot, man. As a matter of fact, we accept all donations, man. Hit up the store, hit up the 5-star reviews on iTunes.
Donations. Do it like
gifts. if y'all
Gifts.
got money for Umar, nigga, I know damn well y'all got money for us, right? So, so go ahead.
Oh, man.
But
Umar trying to build that school, man.
that nigga ain't building it. But we gonna get on here and talk to y'all later. Appreciate the brothers from the ShopTalk Podcast for coming and fuck with us tonight, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.
Peace.